What's up, movie lovers? It's your girl Rossie, and I'm back tonight with the short review. The review is called SEVAP MITZVAH. John DeGregorio from Movie Lovers is joining me tonight. Guys, I was going to do this review last week. Unfortunately, I had technical difficulties, so now we're going to give you the review of what we've thought about SEVAP MITZVAH. So let's get into it, guys. What's up, John?
Nothing much. How you doing, Rossie?
Doing good. Doing good.
Yep, I'm excited to be able to do this review with you. I mean, it's an honor to be able to do these Hollyshorts Film Festival reviews and everything too. And
Right.
it's just, I just want to point this out. Every single time we get something sent in to us, it is precious to us, and we try to handle it with the care and love that they give to us to review
Right.
things.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I was pretty I remember when the film was sent to us, and it's a documentary. So guys, I was doing it for my documentary segment that I have once a month with Brooke Parrish, who unfortunately is not able to join me tonight for the review. And after this we'll be talking to the writer director of Sevap Mitzvah, which means a good deed. Anyway, so I remember watching it, and when I first saw it, I've seen it 3 or 4 times now. When I first saw it, it was a story that I wasn't familiar with, but everything that she was able to, and this is a very complicated story. So much happened with these two families, and Sabina was able to fit all of this in 20 minutes, and goal accomplished. I mean, it's a heartwarming story. It's a beautiful story. Two families that come together during a crisis. So, um, John, just a little bit. What did you think about it before we get into the review?
Oh, I loved it. I thought the cinematography is really good. She managed to tell a complex story within
Right.
20 minutes. Usually, if this was a more Scorsese film, it would tell it in like 2 hours. But she was able
Right. Yeah.
to get
Absolutely.
everything into this nice little bow for like 20 minutes. And let me just tell you this: the camera angles, the shots that they do for
Yes.
this little montage at the very beginning sets the groundwork for what you're going
Right.
to be getting. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's just such a fantastic film.
And the film was produced, written, and directed by Sabina Vajrasha. And Sabina's had other films that are out. She's an award-winning film writer, producer, director. So to have this film, and she's also from, I think she's from Bosnia as well.
Yep.
Um, and so the fact that she was able to, I can't wait to talk to her to find out, how did she come about this story. Did she know these people? Like, how did that all come about? But the story that she tells is two families in 1941, um, Sarajevo, Bosnia. And it was World War II.
Yeah, World
And
War Two.
yeah, World War II. And what happens in this film is that in 1941, World War Bosnia, there were Ustashas, who is basically like the Gestapo and like the SS. They're rounding up the Jewish people to send them to concentration camps. And so you have this Muslim woman, her name is Zeneba Hartiga, and her family, who takes in old friends of Rivka Cavillo family. She takes them in because they were lifelong friends since kids. And when
Yep.
she saw, walking down the street, and she sees, the Eustasia rounding up kids, women, men, and putting them in trucks, she sees Rivka. And you can go from there, John, and tell us a little bit about Rivka.
Okay, so the thing that I want, let me just set this groundwork a little bit to start with.
Your audio's going out.
Let's try right now.
That's
About
good.
that.
That's
That's good.
good.
Okay, good. So I want to set the groundwork a little bit of
Yes.
when we're actually introduced into Zeneba. Because here's the thing: we're getting this story of this king's prime minister, Haman, who ordered all Jews of the kingdom, young and old, to be killed on the third day of Adar, along with
Mm,
their possessions being taken away. So at this point, no one is allowed to go in front of the king uninvited, not even the queen. The punishment is death.
right.
Remembered, Mordecai's words. You cannot think about yourself. Every life is a service of greater good, and this is your destiny. To me, the words of Mordecai's transcends within the story about not thinking about yourself, even
Yeah.
if it means you will be, though you will die protecting what is right,
Right.
which is Zinba's destiny to protect the Jewish people against the Germans.
Right.
So that's what I got out of the story in this context of it.
Right.
You don't realize too that this is actually a Jewish story that she's telling her child.
Right, which is against the law, at that time, is to even have Jewish books in your house. So when the scene starts, you see, Zeneba, with Ada. I would that would be her daughter. I believe that's her daughter. And Bara walks in, who is her sister-in-law, and she sees Zeneba reading this book, and she lets Zeneba know, you got to stop doing this. If they catch you, if they see this book in your house, they could be killed, guys, just for simply having this book, this Jewish book in the house. So what leads Zeneba to outside of the house was she told her sister-in-law, fine, all right, I'll get rid of the book and I'll take it outside of the house. So that's when she leaves the house, and on her way to take this book and bury it somewhere, or put it somewhere so that it's not caught inside the house. That's when she sees the Eustasias rounding up Jewish men, women, children, and putting them into trucks. And she has her veil on. And just to let you know, the Hardagas they're Muslim. They're a Muslim family, okay? And Rivka, obviously, they're a Jewish family. So what happens is that she sees this while she's out and about, Zeneva, and what happens is she sees Rivka. And so when she sees Rivka, you see a flashback, and you see a flashback of two little girls playing. They were friends since they were children. So when she saw Rivka, she immediately goes over there and kind of puts her arm around her and grabs her and explains to her what's going on.
And at this moment, you actually do fear for both of their lives, not just Rivka's life. You also fear for her friend though too, that's actually taking in these refugees.
Right.
Zenbea, I believe that's how you say it.
Zeneba.
Nemba, thank you.
Zeneba.
Uh, but you do fear for the both of them. You do have that whole entire characterization where you care about this emotional attachment to these characters,
Right.
and realizing that these people are not just characters; they're real people.
Yes.
And when the families are being taken away, she quickly thinks on her feet. I like how Zeneba basically thinks on
Yes.
her feet,
Yes.
and she goes, "Your name is Esther,"
Right.
because remember.
The
And
book that
then
the book they were reading, Esther. Yes.
right.
Esther. Yes.
So she winds up fooling the German soldier. She goes,
Right.
"Who is this? Oh, this is Esther, and I'm Zemba." Oh, okay. And he kind of looks at them kind of crossly,
Right.
and it's like, "I don't believe you, but I'll let you pass this one
Right.
time." And then he questions it again later on in the film. But I
Right.
think that this is perfect. And okay, so how we were talking about the fact that this king and the prime minister and stuff like that. I
Yes.
believe that story entangles in with her life because of the fact that you have these refugees that are being packed away, just as
Right.
if the king is doing the same thing in that story. So it
Right. I
resonates
get
with
that.
her as well.
I get
So
that.
I like how how she was able to tie this in. I
Yes.
think it's written beautifully. It's directed beautifully.
Yes. So when she gets Zeneva back to the house, there's like, her brother Isnet. He's very upset because what are you doing bringing her here? He tells Zeneba, take her back where you found her. She cannot be here because if they found her there, they would all be killed. They would be murdered for hiding a Jewish woman in the house. Um, and so Zeneba, who is just the spirited woman and who is stands up for what's right, along with her husband Mustafa, stand up for what's right. And there's a time, well, there's a period in the movie where Zeneba looks at her brother and says, this is not your home. I don't have to listen to you. And she goes and talks to her husband Mustafa. and explains what's going on. Also, just to let you guys know, they're also hiding um, Rivka's husband and kids at another location in a cellar. Okay, because Rivka's husband Joseph, he had been caught. He got away, and finally he was able to make it back to the Hardikas' home. One thing, just to let you guys know, this is not the first time that the Hardikas have gone and have stayed with, or the Cavalios have gone and stayed with the Hardikas. This has gone on many of times. They are friends. They're like family. So, anyways, Mustafa overrides, Isnet, um, the brother, and says, "No, we are going to help them because of the love for Allah. We're going to do this. This is what we're supposed to do. And if we get killed in a process, then that's what happens. You know what I mean? So just to let you know a little bit about this family, but the risk that they were taking being a Muslim family. Also, I really like the scene where they decided to go ahead and keep them at the house, and tells Rivka, remember, she's going to take her to her husband and her kids. What did you think about that part when when she goes and gets them and dresses Joseph in Mustafa's clothing
I like that whole
to
entire
take them to
element.
go see Rivka?
Right. To be honest with you, I love that whole entire element of where they know that they have to figure out a way to get them out of there. So,
Yes,
what better way to do that than to dress them up in Muslim clothing and
right,
then trying to get them out of there? Even we run into that soldier again from the
right,
and everything too, and he still questions it, but still lets them go again. And so they go over into the house. But I love this whole entire dynamic where now they remove their face. I forgot what it's actually called. I think it's called an Afghan. I'm not sure.
right. The
Actually,
women are able to move their face coverings. And the thing about that is, in a Muslim household, if men are in that household and they're strangers, the women have to keep their heads covered. The good thing about it was Mustafa was telling them as they're all sitting around, because we finally get Rivka to her husband, or get Joseph and the kids to Rivka, his wife. So as they're all joined together at the Hardika's house, they're sitting around having some dinner. It looks like, and Mustafa, the man of the house, Zaneba's husband, makes an announcement to his wife and his sister in law that, being that they are now family, you can take your head coverings, you can take your veils off, because we are family. And if you are a male, that's family. Women can take their veils off
like,
and show their face. And I thought that was
and
just, it was lovely.
it's such a beautiful moment
Yes, it
because
was.
now they call them their brothers and sisters.
Yes.
And I thought this was such a moving thing because they're not just you have two different people in two different religions,
Right.
or ba- and this just goes to show you how deep the writing actually is,
Yeah.
correcting it is, because it's two different people from two different religions and cultures getting along together for the right
Right.
reason, and then they're calling each other brothers and sisters.
Right.
That is, a matter of fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now, but it's just so moving and so powerful to see
Yes.
that. And I'm instantly almost teared up because of that. I'm like, this is so warming to see.
I
I'm glad that
definitely
they
teared
captured
up.
this.
I definitely teared up a few times. I do want to mention that the soldier that they ran into when Zaneba was taking Joseph, Rivka's husband, and their two kids, taking them to go meet up with Rivka. When they're stopped by that soldier, the Eustasia, what the soldier that they were talking to actually was a guy that liked Zaneba, and had asked, Zaneba was saying, "This is my husband, Mustafa." And the soldier, if you remember, mentioned, "So this is a guy that they paired you with instead of me? He must be rich." So that soldier had a thing for Zaneba. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Like but they had he had a respect for Zaneba. That's why he let Zaneba go, because he has a respect for her. He liked her, and so he believed, that that was her husband and their kids. So I wanted to mention that. Also, another thing I wanted to mention is the Cavilio family, who is Joseph and Rivka and their kids. They were trying to get to Mostar. And Mostar is an area under Italian control where Jews were relatively safe. So that's where they were trying to get their family to, and to go to Mostar so that they can be safe and not have to worry about an invasion of Germans and, you know, the Ustasjas, the Gestapo, the SS getting them. So that was their goal, was to get there. So they were staying with the Hartigas until they were able to make that trip and get to Mostar, in which they did. Now we're going to fast forward the film, because now we're in 1993 Sarajevo. There is a war. If you guys remember back in 93, 94, that broke out. So the film opens up 1993 Sarajevo. There's bombings going on. Okay, you see an older lady with her daughter. That older lady is Zeneba, and Zeneba and her family are in Bosnia, and they're under attack because, like I said, war broke out. So they're going down to the basement part of the home, and it's like this tunnel, okay, where they're safe from all the bombing. While they're down there, what did you think about those guys who showed up? And one of those guys I want to mention is Yad Vashem. Go ahead,
which
John.
is I actually was afraid for them because I
Yes,
wasn't sure if the bombs were going to go into where their area is, even though they're covered
right,
underground.
right,
I was just scared for them, and then also too
right,
this darkness and everything too. You know, that's
right.
something else that I thought that was really fascinating to me. You know, was like the
Yes.
darkness of it, and and them being scared
And all
and
the
not
people that
knowing.
were down there. I mean, it was a lot of families down there trying to, protect themselves from this bombing. And I do want to mention that, let's see, Yad Vashem appealed to the president of Bosnia to permit Zeneba to come to Israel. So in 1994, Zeneba, her daughter, her husband, and child arrived in Israel, where they were welcomed by government officials, representatives of Yad Vashem, and the Cavilios. Okay, and so what happened is that 50 years later, when Zeneba and her family are in a situation kind of like, not as bad as it was in 1941 being rounded up, but still they could have been killed with this war breaking out in Bosnia. For Rivka's family to appeal to that government to bring them to Israel so that they can be safe 50 years later was just, it's an amazing
Amazing.
story. It's absolutely amazing because one thing Sabina did was she then shows the family making a safe trip and arriving in Israel to safety, and how they repaid each other. And I remember he said he was honored to meet Zeneba. Yad was, because he knew about the great things she did in 1941 when Jewish people in Sarajevo were being rounded up, and to be able to pay it forward and help out the Hardigas when they needed it was it was beautiful. I mean, I literally cried. I cried at the end because it was happy tears, you
Right.
know. And I loved at the end how Sabina was able to show the actual pictures of the two women when they reunited, um, pictures of them when they were younger. It was just, I've never heard about this story. It was a nice history lesson, and just to see the love that people had at a time where you can die for helping the Jewish people. And I'm sure there are thousands of families back at that time that put their lives at risk to help certain friends that were Jewish. What do you have to say, John? What do you think?
A time that's so dark, there's some
Yes,
lightness in it and everything too, with them becoming family, and then also whenever you see that light at the end of the tunnel at the very end of it, it's
yes,
about friendship. It's what it's
yes,
about too,
yes,
and it's about the distance that you would go to be with your friends that you can trust and love during a time of darkness,
Right.
and remembering the things that that person did for you. Then
Right.
and just being there for each other. I thought this was a very moving short film. I thought everything was set up perfectly. I thought this
Yes.
was a good execution.
Yes.
Ending and everything for me was, I thought it was really good on how they ended it. After what you had said, well, it just moved me. To be honest,
Right.
I just loved it.
I also want to mention, though, one thing about Sabina is that the director, the producer, and writer, a little bit about her. So she was born in Bosnia, and she immigrated to the U.S. in 1994 as a war refugee. So this is something that she too went through in 94 when that war broke out and was able to get to the US, and come to the US and then have this amazing career that she has. So I'm looking forward to talking to Sabina in about an hour or so to discuss like how did you hear about this story? And has she met Zeneba or Rivka?
Me too, because that's what I want to know too. In all honesty, and also too, I didn't know about the story either up until
Yeah.
this got sent in to me, and I was like, I love history, and this was
Yes, me
literally the
too.
perfect history lesson that we all need. I think because I
Absolutely.
feel like the world right now is so split to the point where
Yes.
you need this story being told of, yeah, we have differences in religion and culture, but at the
Right.
end of the day, we can still wind up supporting each other and being there. So I think this movie has legs. I think this movie is incredible. People are also talking about it every single film festival that I know of.
Yes, and just to let you know, this is an Oscar qualifying film. So I want to let you guys know that that's how good this film is. That's how the writing, the story itself, just a really good film, and it was executed beautifully. And I have to say, the score, I love the score. I loved how when Zeneba was on her way and she's walking and she sees Rivka, just how the score, the music just amps up. It's kind of this angst. There's this angst like when she almost got caught on the streets with Rivka, the angst of when she's transferring Joseph and his kids to go meet up with Rivka. That part where the soldier is there and you're thinking this is going to be it. The part where he's offering the little kids candy to tell him their name, and thank goodness Zeneba was saying, to whoever, I forget his name, but it's me, Zeneba. Like it's just there's a lot of angst, but the happiness, and just like I said, two women coming together, two families coming together and helping each other. And so I pose a question, would you be able to do that? Guys, would you be able to possibly give up your life to help someone in need like that? That's a hard one. I would like to think that we would definitely do that.
Me too. In a tough time like that, yeah, I definitely would.
Yes. Yes. And one last thing I want to just say really quick is also, guys, think about this. You have a friend and a neighbor who's been friends since you were 8 years old. Life is good. And then all of a sudden, some dictator decides these people don't belong. They're all going to be killed. They're not supposed to be here. And then that's your neighbor that you've grown with for years, never a problem. And then this happens and they snatch them up because they're Jewish or because they're Muslim or
I
because
can believe
they're,
this.
you know what I mean? It's an amazing story.
It definitely is. I couldn't wait to review this with you. And also, like you said before, people want to take away other people for what they believe because of the fact that they believe differently. And
Exactly.
therefore they feel a need to basically feel in danger because of the fact that they think differently than somebody else, and therefore they're going
Right.
to try to separate them for that, and that's a damn shame.
Yeah,
So
no, it really is. It really is. And thank God for people like the Hardigas, Rivka, her husband, Joseph, their family, people like that, but definitely the Hardigas for putting their life out. And I want to say one thing about the Hardiga family. Their father was killed, was executed because he was found to have hidden Jews in his house. So this was something that was real, had been done. They've seen it happen. So this was no joke. This was a huge deal. So Sabina by Russia. you did a beautiful job, love, with this film. And you guys can go and research the story. You can go online, put in Mustafa Hartiga's name, and the story comes up. So give it a read. It's an amazing story. John, I'm so happy that you joined me for this
Thank you.
short film review. I'm really pleased that you hung out with me with this one. I thought you'd like
Thank
this.
you. I really loved it. I'm a huge history nerd. I love talking. And matter of fact, I'm actually a history nerd, and also I like studying other cultures and how they
Yes,
live and stuff like that. I always find that
right,
stuff fascinating. So
right.
thank you so much for inviting me on for this review. It is always a privilege to be able to do this with you as well. So I just want to point that out. I do appreciate the invite for this one.
Well, thank you. And so, guys, this is episode 43 of Rossie Talks. We're going to be back with episode 44. And we're going to have Sabina, the writer, producer, director of SEVAP MITZVAH, A Good Deed. And we'll start that. That'll be live at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard
6 o'clock
Time.
Pacific time and 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. So yeah, I
There
can't
you
wait for
go.
this.
So, guys, I appreciate you. We'll see you in about a half hour. And thanks for joining us. We're going to be out of here. And have a good day, guys.